Hello everyone, welcome back to another video today, and this is on the Chelsea vs Crystal Palace preview for the match that is taking place on 3rd October, which means tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. UK time. So this is a very exciting match between two sides which come under this in a different form. Chelsea have come with 1 win, 1 draw, 1 losses, while Crystal Palace come into it with 2 wins and 1 loss. So Crystal Palace right now sit above Chelsea in the table. You really heard right. Crystal Palace are right now above Chelsea in the table, and a victory might give them a lead which we would have never thought. So are Crystal Palace going to continue this good form and surprise another mighty top 6? Or Chelsea will recover the momentum and get the victory? So let's straight away discuss all these things with a preview, and first of all, we are going to go on Chelsea. So Chelsea had a very disappointing game week last week. They had a 3-3 draw against West Brom, where to be honest, you have to give credit to Frank Lampard and his boys that they showed the fighting spirit to come back after 3-0 down. Chelsea were 3-0 down after 35-40 minutes of the game, which is an absolute embarrassment against West Brom, but they saved their blushes. But there's no doubt that that should be considered as a drop points. And in the end, if Chelsea are fighting for the top 4 and whatnot, this point will cost them. Then they had a midweek game against Tottenham in the Carabao Cup, and for the first half, the match was very positive. Tottenham literally played the B squad, and Chelsea had Mount, Werner, they had Chilwell. They mostly played the full strength lineup with Jorginho, Kovacic. Only Kante wasn't there. There were still Mount, Werner, Giroud. Chelsea played a very strong squad for a Carabao Cup competition. But again, Hudson-Odoi and Mount missing some easy chances, 2-3 yard passes, and Tammy Abraham, Werner might have scored and put Chelsea 2-0 up. But the youngness will be there. The players are still inexperienced, and that inexperience cost Chelsea, and it was a disappointing day. Overall, Chelsea should have won the game, but they lost it on penalties, and you can't blame a player for missing a penalty. The mistake for Chelsea was to not clinch off the game when they were 1-0 up. So in the end, they're out of another competition, and that was the only competition along with FA Cup, which I feel as a Chelsea fan was the best chance of winning the trophy this year. But unfortunately, that's the case. But it's important for Chelsea now to shift the gear, become more important, and get this important victory against Crystal Palace so that they can progress more ahead of season and take momentum into the international break. So now let's go towards Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace have started the season really well. Crystal Palace had a very bad ending towards the last season. They had like 5 to 6 losses in a row. It wasn't going good, but they started the season well. They beat Southampton. They have had a lot of injuries, but they really coped with it well. They went to Old Trafford and they battered Manchester United 1-3 away from home. They beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, and they literally, it was not like United were really dominating them. It was Crystal Palace on the top. They were countering, but overall United never created any proper chance in the game. And then they had a game against Everton, two sides on form, and unfortunately they came on the shorter side. But unfortunately the thing was, as per Roy Hodgson, he was not happy with the decision of the handball, and this handball rule has been a bit of controversy this year. So Palace were denied a draw in this game, but still the performance wasn't bad by them, and Everton are a very informed side. So Crystal Palace come into this game with a better form than Chelsea. This was about the preview. Now let's go towards injury report of the teams. So the thing is, Crystal Palace still will miss the long-term absentee. Patrick Van Aanholt, Tompkins, even Scott Dan will be out. And then you have Connor Wickham who will stay out. So these players will stay out for Crystal Palace. And you know that even Jeffrey Schlupp has a bit of knock, so that might be a doubt. And along with that, Michy Batshuayi is a Chelsea player, so he cannot play against his parent club. Then we move on to Chelsea, and Chelsea have same injury problems. Good thing is Ben Chilwell is back. You have got Hakim Ziyech Pulisic recovering, but they won't be available for this match. And in the same way, Billy Gilmer is a long-term absentee. So these was about the injury report. Now let's get into the lineup, and the lineup I expect Chelsea to line up in this match is, I think Chelsea will remain the same what they did last week, but there will be a bit of difference. I think Ben Chilwell will come into this match because Lampard has been unimpressed with Alonso and Emerson, so I think he'll go with Ben Chilwell. At the right, it's going to be Reece James. In the middle, I think it's going to be Christensen and Thiago Silva. That's why I think he involved Tomori and Zuma in that match. I think it's going to be Christensen and Thiago Silva together. So Lampard will allow them to build a partnership. Edouard Mendy will debut in his first Premier League game in my opinion. Then I think in the midfield it will be Kante, Kovacic, the two forming a pivot. I think in the number 10 role will be Mason Mount. In the right wing, because Kai Havertz is injured and Lampard unfortunately doesn't prefer Hudson-Odoi, is going to be Kai Havertz. At the left, in my opinion, it's going to be Werner, because I think he's sticking up with Werner at the left until Pulisic arrives and play Giroud and Abraham at top, and I think Tammy Abraham will play at top in this match. So this for me is going to be Chelsea lineup. Now we move on to Crystal Palace, and I think Crystal Palace will line up the same except some injury problems. They will lie in a 4-4-2, they will try to sit back, soak the attacks from Chelsea, and then viciously counter with the pace of Ayew, Zaha, Eze. So I think it's going to be Eze at the left, Townsend the right, and this is the wings position. McCarthy in the middle, and then Ayew and Zaha at the top. In the 4 defense is going to be the ever impressive Mitchell, who has really taken the place of Van Arnold really well. And it might not be easy for Van Arnold to come back into the team. At the right is going to be Ward, in the middle is going to be Kouate and Sakho, and the keeper is going to be ever dependable Guetta. So this for me will be the Crystal Palace lineup. They will set up in such a way to frustrate Chelsea and then hit them on the break with pace of Zaha and Townsend, Eze, Ayew to score goals. So this was about the predicted lineup. Now let's take a bit of shot back towards the history of this fixture. So if you properly see this fixture, the thing is, since Crystal Palace have been promoted, they have like not a bad record against Chelsea. Chelsea have won 10 matches against them while Palace have won 4. But the last 5 Chelsea have won in a row. So before that Palace had a very good record. And also Palace in the last Stamford Bridge matches, 7 matches, they have won 2, lost 5, where they have scored 7 and conceded 12. So they really they are not afraid to come at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea did enjoy some good times against Crystal Palace when they won against Crystal Palace 1-0 under Jose Mourinho. They lifted the Premier League trophy, great day. But in 16-17 season, when Chelsea had a 93-point season, it was Crystal Palace who nearly derailed their title charge. Crystal Palace went at Stamford Bridge and beat Chelsea 1-2. Chelsea might have won that match, you never know. Chelsea might have broken a lot of records. But Crystal Palace denied them the victory, and it was Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 2, which really was out of the moon because of the performances that Chelsea side under Antonio Conte was putting in. And then last year, they had 2 very good matches. In one match, Chelsea won 2-0 when they were under a very good streak under Frank Lampard. Pulisic had a very good day, and along with the Ajax game, that was the performances that Pulisic was putting in to show what a capable player he is. And then it was a very entertaining game at Selhurst Park where Crystal Palace lost 2-3 to Chelsea, where they had only themselves to blame. They literally could have equalized 3-3, but Kurt Zouma from so far made a very impressive tackle to finish that game 2-3 for Chelsea. So Crystal Palace can really hurt this Chelsea side. So this was about the head-to-head and the way this fixture goes on, how this team really spell against each other, and do Crystal Palace have a good record at Stamford Bridge? Now let's go into the prediction, and as I told you in the head-to-head, Crystal Palace are not afraid to come at Stamford Bridge. They have won 2 out of last 7 matches at this stadium. So they are not afraid, they will sit back and they will try to counter. Wilfred Zaha has 3 goals in his last 7 matches against Chelsea. So if you are putting anyone in this Crystal Palace team to score against Chelsea, it will be Wilfred Zaha. He is going to be a big danger, especially for Reece James, who is defensively right now a bit caught out, and Christensen to handle. So it could be a really exciting game where Palace will sit back, invite Chelsea to have 80-75% possession and try to counter them with Ayew and Zaha at the top. But unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not about the Chelsea are a strong team or they are going under a bad form, so they will recover at some point. I think Chelsea will have just too much quality on the day, and I think finally Chelsea will keep a clean sheet. I think it's not going to be a very pretty game. I think Chelsea will struggle, Palace will really stiffen them up, but I think when you have Werner, Abraham on the pitch with players like Havertz, and then on the bench you have players like Oliver Giroud, I think Chelsea will find that breakthrough, and when they find that breakthrough, Crystal Palace will unfortunately have to open up, and that will leave just more spaces for Chelsea to score more. So I think it's going to be Chelsea 2, Crystal Palace 0, with Werner on the score sheet in my opinion, along with Tammy Abraham also scoring a goal today. In this match, I'm really sorry. So I hope you enjoyed this preview of mine. It's going to be a really amazing match. Both teams will want to win this, but in my opinion, Chelsea will take momentum into international break. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your prediction below and please support, like and share. Thank you very much, guys.